I remember the first time that I heard somebody say that we are all creatures of habit. I was a lot younger than I am now, and I had this attitude of, I don't fit into any box that you want to label me into. And I remember going back home really bothered by this because, hey, I'm unique and I'm not like everybody else. And who is this guy? He doesn't even know me. So I was determined to prove to myself and others that I wasn't really like these creatures that he spoke of. I went to bed that night really bothered by thinking that this guy doesn't even know me and I'll figure this out in the morning. So I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning like I did every morning, brushed my teeth like I did every morning, and grabbed a cup of coffee and newspaper like I did every morning. And I realized the very obvious sitting there. I was exactly as he said I was. Now, several years later, and maybe a touch wiser, I don't think it's that bad anymore, and I'm not sure what I was really rebelling against when I first heard it. What is interesting to me now, though, is to see where exactly some of my habits are and what they say about who I am and what I do. Some habits are good, and others, well, they could use a bit of a refresh, a reshaping. Take, for example, after a long day of work, I come home. I open the garage door, I drive inside, and I close the garage door, and I walk straight into the house. And after a while of doing this, I can essentially be isolated from my neighbors and cut off of all awareness of what goes on around my home. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, if I look at the example of Jesus, then some of these habits need to be challenged and reshaped by his example. In the Gospel of Mark, it's mentioned several times that whenever Jesus came before a large crowd, before he did anything, it says that he saw them and that he had compassion on them. It's as if before he did anything, his goal was to see people and to see them for who they were, to see what was actually going on with them and to embody in his heart their situation and circumstance. That amidst all of the work that Jesus was going to do, even the things scheduled and unscheduled, Jesus took the time to truly see the people around him. Jesus' perspective on humanity enabled him to know and truly love them and ultimately be moved by them and move him towards them. As you and I think about what it means to love our neighborhood, I'm really challenged to think about how my habits might limit my perspective to truly see what it is that God has placed around me to see. What if loving our neighborhood begins in us first by creating a little bit of space to see, to shift our perspective and to invite God to highlight what it is that is around us that needs to be seen? I'd really love for you to consider inviting God to shift your perspective. Maybe you're like me, returning home, or you're in the middle of things and you think perhaps there's just no time whatsoever. Would you consider just pausing in your driveway or in that moment? And right before you leave your home or go back in, to start with a prayer inviting God to create space to see what he wants you to see or pay attention to. Perhaps your lifestyle is less busy or slower paced. How about regularly taking a walk if you're able to, or looking outside your window regularly, where the only prayer we have in our heart is, God, open my eyes to see what I've been missing. Shift my perspective to yours. May God begin to change the lens of your heart to see your neighborhood the way he does.